What's going on, everybody? Appreciate you tuning in. We got a little bit of back. Jordan Ott has his press conference, gets introduced today as the new head coach of the Suns. Spoiler, it wasn't exactly the most encouraging presser that I've ever listened to. As promised I am on the road right now, in those not exactly the normal background. I am in Indianapolis, down before the Game 3 and 4 of the NBA Finals here in Fieldhouse. Really excited for that. It's going to be super fun. I've never been to Fieldhouse before, and I'm in one of the places where basketball is kind of king, so it's going to be a crazy environment. Super excited about that tomorrow. Let's talk about it. So, boy, a lot of takeaways, a lot of things to kind of dive into in this presser. First one, that just kind of off the top, part of me feels a little bit bad for Jordan Ott because, normally you would think a lot of coaches might have a bit of a clean slate, and because of all of the Michigan State stuff that they got going on, Mash beyond down with the GM, and now here it's like everybody looks at it as nepotism, and it is, but he does have some credentials and stuff like that. It's like he had, right to kind of this opportunity, but everyone just looks at him sideways. You're the coach, but come on. So but he knows what he's also a big boy. He signed up for, the job knowing that was going to be some of the criticism. So the first thing that stands out is I got to give David Brent. He didn't straight up just say, hey, how do you feel about the idea that people look at you and say your Michigan State background played a role in you getting this job? He said people that are starting to joke now that these are the Phoenix Spartans bestowing the Michigan State ties on down for Matt Ishbia from, the top moving down. And that was one of the only times in the entire presser where I felt like there was real kind of emotion from Jordan. His response, he seemed perturbed. He seemed quite angry, and there was a little bit of fire in his gut. And his response was, I've earned the right to be here. I've worked 20 years to be in this spot. Been around a lot of great people. I know I've earned this opportunity. I'm going to work as hard as I can to prove that I've earned this opportunity. He came with a lot of force, and he was, again, the question was more about them having an alignment and understanding with each other, since all of them have kind of this little background connection. And he took it in the other direction and just said, I don't care about the connection. I've earned this opportunity. And I kind of liked it. It was a pretty fiery answer. And it was one that gave, I think, a little bit of competitive spirit and background to him that you would like to see. But I will say that was about one of the only moments in the entire presser where I was really kind of, impressed by him. You remember when Brian Gregory got introduced as the GM, he kind of laughed about it and said, I know that's kind of what it is, and transitioned a little bit out of it. I thought he at least was self-aware about it. Kind of like Brian Gregory's response, a little bit better for a GM. And I guess depending on how you want your coach, having a little bit of fire in there is certainly not a bad thing. Just though the rest of the presser, a lot of really vanilla answers, a lot of energy, not a lot of enthusiasm, not a lot of things that you look at that kind of inspire you. Great to know, guys. Sometimes those coaches are just the way that they are. Mark Daigneault's in the NBA times, but he's pretty placid in a lot of his demeanor as well. So you don't have to have that flamboyant, over-the-top be a successful coach, but you'd like to see it in a presser where you're trying to win over people when that's all that happens. Your introductory moment, you would like to look enthusiastic, excited. When you look indifferent, it's not the best, projection of self in that moment. There were some other moments in there that I was just like, this is just, look, just try to feed us just a bowl of goods that just is not working. Brian opened up the press. We're talking about how they did this huge search, and then it was an extensive coaching search through everything that they were looking for system, the style of the play, the vision of organization, the vision of team, the philosophy. He said in every phase of that search, the one guy that stood out, not. And like, from the very beginning, everyone's like, why is this guy still in there? Doesn't have nearly doesn't have nearly the background as everyone else. But he did go to Michigan State there, and it was just like, how is this guy still hanging around? That was the reaction. He just tried to tell us, like, no, it wasn't that. He was so good in the interview. It's just like they in and let people know, yeah, like, but that doesn't mean I'm not qualified. But yeah, there is that piece that I'm sure helps out a lot that I'm good buddies with. Yeah. Would have been nice for some self-awareness and acceptance in that moment. Instead, you're going to pretend like it wasn't there at all. Now, there was a few other things that does give him a little bit of credibility. Devin Booker did back him up for this job when it came down towards the end. They have a little bit of a relationship there, and obviously Booker, they're hoping to be still kind of the main piece of this franchise moving forward. Other, names in the basketball world came out there. Draymond Green had some nice stuff to say about him. Darvin Ham, the man that held up a clipboard that said play hard? That was the X's and O's that Darvin Ham was providing for the Lakers when he was that coach. I guess that's a good thing to have extra guys in your corner, but you'd like to have someone with a little bit more power than that, because that guy does not have a good reputation right now as a coach in this league. There are few other things that stood out. Jordan talked about his philosophies and stuff, and a lot of it was what you always expect head coaches to say in this position. We want to play fast. We want to play fun. We want to be loose. We want to get effort defensively. We want to get athletic and quick and all these things. One of the things that he said, though, that was different, that stood out to me, was he really emphasized that he wanted to add a lot of movement on offense and not just be what we're seeing now, which is 5 wide ISO and then motion and movement after that, kind of off of that initially. He said he wants guys cutting. He says he wants kind of movement and like set plays, and that he really wants actions to happen on offense, which I like. You'd prefer to have a blend. I don't really think the full-on open gym space and pace is the best basketball product that you can have. I also don't think running every single time is also good. But if you can get a little blend of both, and you do have that movement of people cutting, just guys cutting creates so much space. Everyone sucks in once the guy goes across the lane. There's areas for shooters, and like you also then are attacking the rim and not just shooting threes, which would be kind of a whole concept of getting some layups. That'd be good in a half court set every now and then. The one big takeaway, and it was pretty quick in there. They asked about his relationship with Durant, kind of what's that like right now, considering he's probably on his way, like all these trade rumors and everything that's coming out. And reportedly now his main interest is with San Antonio, which I can't imagine they would want to do right now, because that timeline, you're talking about a guy that's got a couple years left in the league and being paired up with Victor Wembanyama, who's getting ready to be probably the best player for a while, but he's not there yet. But their timelines just do not work. But they really avoided that question. Rick hopped in and it started saying, like, and whether it's true or not, they have a philosophy, and I really want to talk about players' contracts and kind of any potential deals and stuff like that. But there's a little bit of self-awareness that everyone knows kind of what's going on. It would be helpful if you could at least be like somewhat honest with the situation rather than just completely avoiding it. Like that, when everyone knows what's going on and you just avoid answering questions, it's not my favorite. But I get it if that is their kind of strategy. So overall, thanks. Really kind of unimpressive interview. Expectations were low. I met them. Did have that one kind of, I thought, a bright moment where he showed some fight and some spar kind of questions on it. You'd like to see that kind of energy, but there was just not a lot of charisma. Not this conference that he went in and won, which in his position he kind of needed to do, because everyone's looking at him sideways. Not entirely his fault. So he be a fault. He's got some culpability in it when you take the job, but like, could have really used a strong press conference, energy, excitement that would have backed up everything that Gregory opened up with, talking about how excited he was and how he was the guy that stood out in the interview process. Because that first press conference, kind of part of your interview process. I know he's got the job, but now you're trying to win over the local fans, the local press. You're trying to really set the first impression. And the first impression that everyone got was a guy that looked stiff, wide-eyed, and not uninterested, but just not super excited, kind of just run-the-mill, I guess maybe focused, but like focused on something not in the moment, focused on practice, focused on other things, and not really focused on the presser itself. I just don't think it was a great look. Let me know what you guys think. This is the latest domino to fall for the Suns. There's a few more to go this summer. It's going to be another chaotic summer. And, I mean, just buckle up, because, like I said, there's pieces still to fall. The Durant piece is the next, and honestly, the biggest one that they are going to have this offseason. So, whether they keep him, whether they move him, what they get for him, it's a lot of things to watch there. But let me know what y'all think about the presser. Anybody out there impressed by this guy? Excited? Because I wasn't.